In the shadow of the living dead. Let me begin by reading Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. In those days, men will try to kill themselves, but won't be able to. Death will not come. They will long to die, but death will flee away. Puzzling. Isaiah 28:18. And your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then you shall be trodden down by it. I got into this study. It took a whole different direction. So here's the notes I got as I pondered this above text in this whole subject matter, which we're getting into, in the shadow of the living dead. If something's living, how can it be dead? The living dead? Sounds like that series, Zombies? No, we're not talking about zombies. But seems to be strange how a lot of that's coming out. Every time you turn around, there's a new zombie movie. So in light of that, beyond that, there's something else the Scripture is trying to tell us. And I've been led to get into these things lately, like, my God, this is a strange subject matter. Though I'm not using this text, first of all, in Isaiah, and its historical application, which we know is dealing with the Jewish nation. I am drawing out of it the spiritual principles that are applicable for our current day in this study. Its historic application would distract from what is desired in this study on the shadow of the living dead. Many today are making a covenant with death. That's going to be coming out here. But this covenant will be disannulled by what is revealed in Scripture dealing with the end times. There will come an overflowing surge now during this coming 7-year tribulation period that will trod down all the plans of a hell-bent world to undo what God has set in place. Concerning what? Concerning his purpose of introducing death. Romans chapter 10. He subjected the world to futility, which gets into a sense of unreality, and this matter of death was introduced, but it was introduced in hope. And we know that, that's going to come out here. His purpose of introducing death as an escape from this world in hope, to bring humanity in this creation back to his original intent, before the foundation of this world, which was cut off from God, leaving creation moaning and groaning, this is Romans chapter 8, waiting for the manifestations of the sons of God, that we gained through what? That we gained. Now understand, we gained that through what Christ established. We embrace it. That we gained through what God accomplished through his Son. Once again, before the foundation of this messed up world, to the fall of Adam and Eve. Now, I was typing this. I started reading this text, and I just started typing this, and I said, my God, where's this going? To the surprise of many. Now, he keeps saying that, the secular and religious world. Now, there's times I wonder, what's wrong with the religious world? There's some things I like about it. Yeah, I understand that. The Lord does. But now we can understand why I don't want to agree to secular, but there seems to be a religious world. Well, God's been dealing with that a lot more lately than he's ever been. So it's a surprise of many, secular and religious. Time, now notice that, it's talking about time and death, will be changed in a way I personally had never heard it expressed. Now I haven't, I've investigated stuff, and good men of God who really searched the Word of God and got into what's going on in the world, the scene, as far as science and politics and this whole world scene. They're getting into things that's like, wow, they shouldn't be going there. I dealt with it in my series called transhumanism. in the areas of genetics, what they're trying to do. Our ideas, just one dealing with it all the time, our ideas of a 24-hour, 365-day year will end at some point during this coming tribulation period. Now, I've just seen that lately. Whereas Isaiah called it overflowing scourge. It also has been revealed to me to be the onslaught, which I made a movie on that, talking about all these different sounds I hear them worldwide. They don't know where the sounds are coming from, underground, from space, in the air. They don't know where it's coming from. They can't attribute to sonic booms or some underground explosions or drilling or something like that. They don't know what it is. It also has been revealed to me to be the onslaught or the spillover, the revealing of realms beyond any that Hollywood has ever imagined and expressed in their science fiction movies. We see this covenant with death in the area of genetics, physics, dealing with those microscopic, like the DNA and splitting of the atom, to produce their ideas of the origins of humanity and this universe, their so-called Big Bang. Imagine them trying to create a new Big Bang. Viva the spiritual principle of Isaiah. Now, viva the spiritual principle of Isaiah 28:18. Disagreement with hell will not stand. That's where it's coming from. There's a coming day, real soon, where they will wish to God, beg to God, to restore what He had introduced, death, to escape not only what they have created, but also the judge of humanity, who will definitely judge them for what they have done. Let me bring out a few more verses that come into play here. Revelation chapter 20, verse 11 through 15. I'll be down here. I'll be reading that in a minute. Here's the scene. It's after the 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth, and it gets into what's called the second resurrection compared to the first resurrection. Revelation 20, verse 6 says this: Blessed and holy is he that had part in the first resurrection. So beyond that, in verse 11, you start getting into what will be the second resurrection. So the first resurrection, we know it to be the resurrection of our body. And we know that this resurrection, they're blessed. On such, the second death. So the first death, if there's a second death, the first death is not annihilation. Got to get that fixed in your head. There's a teach that, and then when you die, that's it. You go to the grave, that's it. You turn to ash, that's it. You become non-existent, On such the second death, if the first death is annihilation, there's no need for the second. So something's wrong here. So we got to figure out what it is. On such the second death hath no power. So the second death has power. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Now, this is where it is getting into the 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth. And then this is at the end. It's after the 1,000-year reign of Christ. And you're going to read in Scripture that, let me see, I'll pull that up. Let me read through that real quick, and then we'll get into that. Here it is. There it is. Revelation chapter 2. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the keys of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him to the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. I got a whole 21-page article that deal with that. I also got a video on YouTube, which I'm going to add more to that sometime in the future. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which have not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received this mark upon their foreheads or on their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. That's brought out another video. Let me get rid of that. I had to pull that off there. But the rest of the dead, this is after the first resurrection, the dead, they die, and they're outside of Christ, and they go to Hades, Sheol, or what we call hell. It's a holding house where they're held there. And they'll be held there from the dawn of history, and during this period, for that 1,000-year reign of Christ, they're held there for 1,000 years, just after the tribulation period. But the rest of the dead live not until the 1,000 years that was finished. This is the first resurrection. You want to be part of that first resurrection, and the resurrection of that body. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, shall reign him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sea, the sand of the sea. And I'm trying to read this real fast, so I don't want to get into all this. We're not going to get into all that. I wanted to focus on that. But I have to read this so you get a background. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the sea, saints about, and the beloved city, and the fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. So Satan's going to have his last heyday, last battle, and he doesn't win that one. He didn't win the tribulation period. He don't win this one either. And the devil that deceived them was cast to the lake of fire. That's Gehenna, the lake of fire. I don't use that because people don't like that. Oh, Gehenna. It's not our idea of fire. So I'm going to get sidetracked. Just go on with this. And the devil that deceived them was cast to the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophets are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. There's no death there. You don't die. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat upon it. That's where we get into. For whom the face of the earth, the heavens fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which are written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and the dead, death, and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. I wanted to bring all that out. Let me get back to our verses now. I keep checking this. I'm learning how to use this screen. Sometimes when you pause it or go to another screen, the whole thing stops, and you have to piecemeal and put it all together. And it's all a great white throne. I bring that out. Okay, let's start with verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead. Now we discussed, not dead. No, I was recording it. Sorry, I was recording this. I didn't realize that I didn't have Screen-O-Matic run, so now I'll have to bring this out. And I saw the dead. Now, he saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. What are they, zombies? The Walking Dead. They're dead. They're not dead as we know dead. So you got to get past Webster's definition of dead or any secular religious idea of dead, because the Jehovah's Witness thing, when you die, I mean, you just, and if you're not of their faith, you just die and that's the end of it. I mean, there's no punishment or nothing. There's no hell. They don't believe in a hell. So they figure that's not, you die and that you're non-existent. Well, you better get in the scriptures. Not saw the dead, small great, stand before God. How can a dead man stand before God? And the books. Now, focus on that word books. In my video, uh, Breaking the Chains of Our Bondage, I go into great detail explaining the difference between the book and the books. And the books. This is your autobiography of your life, how you perceive life, independent from God, and you're going about establishing your idea of righteousness. You have forfeited your name in this book, God's finished work before the foundation of the world. And you're going to go to stand before God with your little arm of your autobiography of your good deeds versus your bad deeds, hoping that the scale tipped to your favor. And books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things, the dead outside of Christ. This is the second resurrection. You're blessed in the first resurrection, so you want to be in that one. The dead were judged out of those things which are written in the books according to their works, not the finished works of Christ before the foundation of the world, what God accomplished for you. Yeah, it said that blessed and holy is the he that hath part in the first resurrection, on such the second death hath no power. Okay? And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. Now catch that part. Now death and any idea you may have of hell also cast into a lake of fire. That's called Gehenna. That's in the Greek word. Without getting into that right now, but understand, hell is like the county jail. I work for the Department of Corrections. When a person committed a crime, they would get arrested. They would take them to the county jail. They would stay there until they go before sentencing, and then once they got their sentence, and when the state house jail opened up room, they would take them, transport them from the county hell, then they would go to the state or Gehenna, and they do their full bid, their time in jail. Well, of course, in hell, and the sentence is eternal, and you're going to lake of fire, and you're going to argue your case before the judge. Get in that tape video I brought out, Breaking Chains of Our Bondage. It takes it like a court scene and showing how you're going to try to stand before God with your books and try to defend yourself. You don't want that. You want to go with the finished works of what Christ accomplished. He's your advocate. He'll plead your case. Okay? And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So if there's a second death, the first death is not annihilation. I don't care what they want to teach that. They can teach what they want to teach. There's a second death. And even the second death is not annihilation. Cast into a lake of fire is an eternal matter. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. So let me pause this minute and add some more thoughts I want to add here. Let me interject this. It's a situation I ran into off Pal Talk, the chat room. I got into it years ago, got out of it, I went back that day after 20 years and the same debates are still going on today. So I went to this one site in a chat room off Pal Talk called Atheists Against Christians. You can imagine. I encountered an individual who claimed that they had studied the Bible for years and come to the conclusion that it was a book of myth, and settled for the idea that we are just an accident of natural cause and effect, and that once we die, we are just recycled in the cycle of life, seeing this as their only hope, which gave them some sense of value and worth. They didn't need this hope in the pie in the sky of God or heaven. Well, I listened to the other comments and asked, Father, like, what am I doing here? It's the same old stuff. So, years ago, now understand, I went in there for 20 years. A lot that I wrote I write and I put in my videos came up from those challenges back then. Back then, I didn't have answers. So they would ask me questions. They would stump my band all the time. So I said, I've learned through that time that you wait to the Spirit. And He would give me answers. I would type it in there, but most time people, by the time I got it typed up and would post it in their scrolling chat room scroll, as you type it, it's scrolling. You got about 80 people in there. I mean, by the time you post something, the subject matter is changed by that time, and your quote is missed. So, but I learned from it, and I kept those quotes. I got a whole journal of those. No, they would ask questions. I didn't answer. I'd ask the father to give me an answer, whether they got it or not. It was beautiful what the Lord would answer. Well, I listened to this and other comments, and from my learning from the past, asked, Father, do you have any comments to type here in this chat room? Oh, should I just type or just get out of here? Here's what I typed that day. So I wrote down there. Now, okay, let me highlight that so you know it was the comment. This ain't my words. This, Lord gave me this now. In light of what you have shared, this individual, when you die, if you're dressed up and placed in a coffin, you would be considered all dressed up with no place to go. You'd be better off being cremated, saving you money. It's cheaper to be cremated than a burial. I think was it $9,000 to be buried in a coffin and all that stuff. Or cremation is under $1,000. You'd be better off being cremated, saving your money, placing your ashes under an apple tree. The tree would absorb your ashes, produce an apple. Someone would come pick this apple, eat it, then you know what happens to you. I didn't put that in there because there'd be a nasty comment. They'd probably kick you out of the room. You'd become crap. This sounds like great hope, great value and worth. To know that you're going to become an apple and someone's going to eat you. I mean, stupid stuff. Come on, that's the reason to get here. Well, needless to say, that didn't go over too well. Other people commented that. Now there were Christians in there. I thought that was cool. They were kind of laughing. Well, needless to say, they didn't go over too well for this individual. Comments from me, which then led to me typing this. Now other things came out, and I mean it's too long. I didn't save their chat room. You can save the chat room sometimes. I didn't. So I put down there, humor me. Come on. I'm just one of those stupid Christians. Humor me. What if I told you that I know that all of us will be given an eternal body? This is where this all began to study. All of us will be given an eternal body after we so-called die, so-called die. Both good and bad people. We all get an eternal body. We all will get to live forever in a body that doesn't die. Now, as to where this eternal body will live, will be determined what kind of mind this body will have. Imagine what you have said, your present mindset, this individual guy, in the cycle of life, Imagine what you've said in your present mindset happening over and over and over again. It would be like the movie Groundhog Day. Well, apparently everybody that watched it, and they were laughing about this. They said it would be like the movie Groundhog Day. It would repeat itself over and over again with no end. Each day, waking up to Groundhog Day, never changing. So everything I said is biblical. They couldn't stand here the biblical text. And they're wondering where I'm getting this from. This shocked this individual. Now, she was expecting, she's expecting this religious guy to give religious chapter and text from the King James. This shocked this individual who claimed to have studied the Bible. The response to me was, where does it say this? What is your source? Now, these people were talking, I was just using the typing facility. They were using the mic. I mean, this person is really upset. Where does this say this at? I read that Bible. I know this. What's its source? Where are you getting this from? I then responded, ask, seek, and knock. Okay, CK. Sorry about that. Let me take that. CK. And you will know. Of course, they didn't like to hear that. Ask, seek, and knock. The Bible said, ask, seek, and knock. The Bible says. Now it's a biblical text too. I give chapter and text. Then again, they again asked me to share where I found this in the Bible. and pulled my source and said, "We're waiting." They kept retyping that. "We're waiting." So I'm waiting. I'm saying, "Well, Father, what do you think?" Then the Lord said, "Respond this." I then responded, "Would you accept it if I told you?" At this moment, you aren't even willing to hear what I have shared, let alone its source. Why should I share any more? I've come to know that I've come to know, let me type this, I'm going to do this with my own person, come to know that all begins by our simply being willing to hear something other than our own minds. Tip your cup, empty what you think you know, and my source will fill it again. I mean, see, no Bible verses, They don't. They just hoping somebody's gonna come in. They're just waiting for a Christian to share. I found out later. I went there another time and come find out there's two guys that run this room, and they're just playing the devil's advocate. Now one claims to be a Christian, the other was kind of like a agnostic, but they're just loving it and having fun, bringing these biblical Bible thumpers into the room and lambaste them when they use the Bible verse. Like you put up ducks on a row and they shoot the ducks down. Yeah, so they was having fun in that room. So I don't get I don't get it anymore. They play no game. So my phone rang at that moment. Thank God. See, God saved me all that moment. The phone rang, so I said, "Look, I have to go. I have to have a phone ring." They could hear it in the background. So I had to leave the chat room. Didn't get back to it. Left this individual to ponder what I was told to share. Now, what they do, what they do, I mean, they will. They'll have to ponder that, and it's my hope that they will. Well, now with that situation, and my sharing with them, him or her, I forget who it was. Probably I don't know what it was, a male, or female. You know, talking about everyone will have an eternal body. Where did I put that at? Alright, here it is. What if I told you that all of us will be given an eternal body? Now, if she had emailed me personally, they call it PM in there. You can get up out of the chat room and PM. If this person had asked me personally of the hope that's in me, not in that chat room, but personally, I would have shared what I'm about to share here with you. What if I told you that all of us would be given an eternal body after we so-called die? Now, understand, now you've seen that. We've talked about, I'm not going to scroll back. I could go back here and talk about the two resurrections, remember? Two resurrections, there's two resurrections. There's the first resurrection, there's the second resurrection. Each one is talking about a body. It wouldn't use the word resurrection. It wasn't referring to a body. And it was not talking about the annihilation of the body. Like the fact of the sea. That's why the dead, great and small, stand before God. Where's that at? Here it is. And the sea gave up its dead. Now think about that. I think I had. No, let me just share that. The sea gave up its dead, right? Say if a person is buried at sea 1,000 years ago. He's wrapped up in a linen cloth and they bury him at sea. Ask yourself the question, without a shadow of doubt, you know and I know that that body is no longer there. The crabs had a heyday, the sharks and everywhere else that we eat on that body is forever gone. I mean, maybe it's DNA floating in the water. Maybe people get into that. I think it goes even beyond that. But that flesh and bone body is gone. What body is it talking about? What can the sea give up? It's John says that. He lighteth every man that come into the world. Well, I got a study going on that, and I won't bring that right here. You got to take my word for it. You can go search that scripture and see if that's true. This is in the first chapter of John. He lighteth every man that come into the world. Understand, when he's Romans chapter 10, it says he subjected the world to futility. Death came into play. God intended this world to be a world without end. There'd be no death, decay, and dying. Adam, choosing to go the way he went, following the devil's Eve, trying to play God. God has to introduce death to get us out of this world. But he subjected the world to futility. Now it says in hope. So he subjects your body, this natural body, to death. But in his hope for all, he promises the body. Now, what do you want to do with this eternal body? Where you want it to go? God prepares a place for this body. It says, though the outward man is decaying, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day, being made fit for the new existence. How is it being renewed? By the decaying of how you feel and think, letting it go, and allowing God to renew you with the mind of Christ, which is in your spirit. And at some point in this life, you can even put that body on that would sustain this decaying body and keep it alive until such time that God wants to take you out of this world. That gets into my book, Right in Fallen Adam. Now, I don't want to get into that here, but here is the fact. God has given you an eternal body. Now, you can have this body go to the place that God's prepared for it, and then gain the mind that makes you fit for that new existence in this eternal body, in this eternal realm, made for you beyond imagination of what this world has. Or you can stay with the limited mind that you got in the eternal body and go to a place that was not prepared for you. It was prepared for the devil and his angels who left their original habitat and estate in the eternal realm, came to this natural world, and once, like in the biblical flood, when these, get into Genesis chapter 6, I want to get in that right here, where they possessed the daughters of Adam, and they produced this monstrosity race of beings called demonic possession. And when the flood came in, the bodies died, and these spirits are disembodied spirits again. They couldn't go back to their original habitat and state. They left there. God kicked them out of heaven. So they roamed to this earth looking for another body. It's called demon possession. I mean, these beings, these demonic fallen angels, have a place prepared for them called Gehenna. It's a place for disembodied spirits prepared for the devil's angel. I got a video on that. It's called Hell Is Not Your Home. Listen to that video. That tells you God never prepared hell for any of us. God wasn't his will that anyone would go to hell. Why would you want to go join disembodied spirits? Here you are, you got an eternal body. But you have a limited mind. Like you said, in hell, you don't go to, hell is a holding house, but you don't learn nothing there. In hell, there's no more learning. Look up that verse. It's in the Bible. There's no more learning. And when you get to Gehenna, my God, you're going to go with the mind that you got. And I'm saying that's a limited mind. If you don't learn nothing, you go with what little knowledge you have. And then you more or less, from one day to the next day. We can't imagine what a day's like there. You're going to keep repeating this stuff, repeat this stuff. Monotony, boredom. Never growing, never changing. Stuck at that level of thinking forever. And we can't imagine that. And then with demonic spirits, disembodied, desiring to possess you, dispossess you, possess you, dispossess you, from one day to the next day. Torment after torment after torment. We can't imagine. That's what I say. We get this lake of fire. I don't like to introduce that because he used that illustration in the book of John, and they knew about this thing of Gehenna. It was a dump. That the fire never was quenched. They just used that as a symbol, illustration of an eternal fact. But we get caught up in flames of hell. You have no idea what the fires of hell are. If you're just thinking of fire and flames and smoke. I mean, there are metaphors, images, and symbols of a real place. It's a real place. So, let me pause and see if I want to add any more to this. And any more biblical text. Let me pause. Well, I believe I ended on that. There's probably a lot more to be said to this, which does come out in my other videos. This matter of the living dead. I welcome your comments and questions. Like I said, there's a lot more to it. I related it to many of the videos I've already made here on YouTube. And also have in writings for those who may want to see the writings. I don't get the hits nor the comments and the views on YouTube, so I don't know, except for a few that may comment now and then, and a few people I talk to over the phone or email. So send me your comments and your questions. So in on that. God bless you.